So I seen this tweet from Jason Kenney, and I thought I'd make a video about it because it's something that, personally, I'm kind of torn on Kenney. I think he's got some stuff that's going in the pipeline that's really good. On the other hand, I don't like the fact that he's kind of poo-pooing the whole Wexit movement. But again, in the end, as long as he's fighting back against all this kind of stuff, that's enough to get by at least right now. Because if you want a Wexit movement, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to go from where things currently are to like a full-on Wexit movement. I think it's going to happen in steps. That's why whenever you talk to libertarians or even on the other side, you got your communists that they'll always tell you, at least the ones that know what they're talking about, you're never going to get something like that overnight. It has to happen, slowly but surely. That's why you hear the classic quote, the goal of socialism, or the goal of socialism is communism. And so that's why I said it has to happen in steps. You're not going to go from a horrible draconian system that exists now to full-on libertarian free market utopia overnight. It has to happen in steps. So, um, but that's kind of a tangent, and the main focus I wanted to talk about was this tweet, and it says, "Don't criminals don't follow gun bans by definition. They're involved in unlawful use of firearms. So banning firearms for law-abiding gun owners isn't really an effective step to fighting crime when it's predominantly tied to gangs and drugs." Now, I know there's a lot of the Wexit supporters that can't stand Kenney, that think he's terrible. Yeah, I definitely understand where he's coming from, but compared to the NDP, it's a great step up, because the reality of the Wexit movement, at least at this point, is that there isn't, at least I think there's very close to enough support. The problem is how the media portrays it. The average person on the outside looking in thinks that it's this obscure fringe movement when it really isn't. If I had to bet now, if there was a referendum like next week, I would bet that it would lose, that Alberta would vote to stay, but I don't think it would be by that much. And like I say, the main reason for the perceived fringe aspect of it is just the media. If the media was honest about it, like, why on earth would the average Albertan, especially anyone who works in the private sector in Alberta, should support a Wexit movement? Like, even a lot of the public sector workers, because it's not like if we left, we would save a ton of money, and we would be able to keep a lot of those public sector workers. But anyways, getting back to this, you really have to commend Kenney on this, because he's one of the few premiers that understands this. And as an Albertan, and as an Albertan who owns guns, and I imagine a lot of the people that watch this video, you gotta support a guy that stands up for it, because there isn't a lot of that going on now. I don't know if any of the premiers other than him have came out and said this. And even if you're someone who supports relatively strict, if you support super strict gun control, you're absolutely insane. But if you support, let's say, the current system, which I think the current system's still too strict, but you have to admit this kind of stuff, because like I said, like he says, and it's don't worry about the partisan aspect of it too. People see it and they think it's a partisan issue. Like I say, it's the truth. Criminals by definition are people who don't follow laws. The overwhelming majority of guns used in crimes in Canada were not legal at any time or point in Canada. Like I've said, I've cited the number a million times, it seems like, but I think it's 82 or 83% of guns recovered in crimes in Toronto come from outside Canada, mostly the States. So implementing a gun ban is at most going to have maybe a 5 to 10% drop on crime. And the Liberal plan for gun control is going to cost over $1 billion. Like, you honestly think that if we put that money into cancer research, or any research to help the medical system, because when you look in the States, I don't know what the exact numbers are in Canada. You got over 1 million people a year that die from cancer or heart disease, and you got maybe 10,000 people that get killed by guns. Like, do the math there. If you could drop heart disease and cancer rates by 1%, you would more than account for that. So the whole if we could just save one life argument, it completely gets thrown out the window in that, because if we could reduce cancer and heart disease by 5%, it would drop that drastically. So the people who want gun bans, they don't care about saving lives. They care about their political ideology. The political ideology is pretty fringe. It's pretty out there to anyone with the right mind. And the reason why they want to ban guns is if they ban guns, well then there's no way to fight back against their draconian political ideology. They can implement socialism or communism or for the lefties out there, fascism, and there's nothing you can do about it. And think of it this way for all the people that disagree with it. If Donald Trump called to ban guns and then implemented fascism, like a lot of people think that he's going to do, what would you have to fight back? You'd have absolutely nothing. But if you have guns, then the troops that are going to come door to door and implement fascism on you, well, they're going to be in for quite the fight. And some of them are going to get shot, and then their buddies are going to hear that, hey, one of their buddies got shot trying to do this. Maybe I don't want to do it anymore. So it's a very stupid, issue. I think that's of all the issues that the left is wrong about. I think guns is one of the biggest ones because the numbers are very clear, like very very clear. I've made videos about it, and they don't understand basic stuff, and that literally to make their argument they have to argue within their argument that somehow criminals are going to follow the rules. Like they don't follow the rules when it comes to anything else, but gun control, yeah, they're gonna follow the rules. Like, it makes such little sense, such little sense. And for all the people wondering, well, why would they want it then? If why would they want it if the numbers don't back it up and the makes no sense? Well, it's very simple. The government of Canada is becoming further and further to the left. They want to implement socialism, and it doesn't matter if you call it socialism or not. People hear socialism and think, "Oh no, they're not doing that." Well, we got free healthcare. I mean, we're not that far off. Like basically a universal basic income. We got a massive welfare state. We're giving free healthcare and free welfare to literally anyone that wants to come here. If you come to Canada and declare refugee status, you get free healthcare. You don't even need to have a good reason. You can just say, "Oh, I'm a refugee." You get free healthcare, you get welfare, you get housing, you get all that stuff. So yeah, we're socialists. Stop pretending we're not. Just because we're not run by someone like AOC or some idiot like that doesn't mean we're not socialists. Like maybe we're not full on 100% in every aspect of the form, but we're about as far as you can go. So I just wanted to make this video because I think even though, like I say, even though I think there's a lot of stuff Kenny needs to improve on, no shortage of that for sure. I won't deny that, but you got to commend people when they say the right thing, and when they especially when it comes to this. Like if Justin Trudeau came out tomorrow, put out a tweet like this, I would make a video about it and I would commend him for it. And that's what we need more of in politics. Although I would give you, 10,000 to 1 odds on that, I would still do it, and I'd expect people to call me out on that if I didn't. So anyway, if you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.